it took so many years to get the Silence made for so many reasons. And during that time, we looked at different areas of the world. And we started with the real places in Japan where Shusaku Endo's novel took place, in Nagasaki, a small village called Satomi, which in the movie is Tomoji, Unzen Hot Springs, so many others. But we didn't film there because it would be too expensive. So in addition to Japan, the production designer Dante Ferretti went to New Zealand, scouted it, Vancouver, Northern California, and finally Taiwan. I even realized we went some places in the American South. But he realized right away that this is where we could make the picture. The landscape was very, very similar. It had so much to offer Taiwan. The coastlines are untouched. The land itself, the landscapes were quite extraordinary. And we had a crew of over 750 people. And it was made up of Taiwanese, Japanese, Australians, Italians, British, and Americans. Yes, it was complex and confusing for a little while at first. There were language barriers, a lot of cultural differences. However, everyone really wanted to make this picture, and they adapted so quickly, and we became blended and like a determined family. Really, they were all devoted to helping me and really bring this picture to life on every level. Liam Neeson and I worked together before on Gangs of New York. Karen Hines, I've always admired. He's an extraordinary actor, a great actor, really. So much so, I don't even know he's in which. I see him in movies, and I say, "Who's that guy?" And it's always the same guy. It's Karen Hines. So I never recognize. He's so extremely immersed in the character he plays, I find him to be amazing. Andrew and Adam were new to me. I mean, I'd seen Andrew in Social Network and the Red Riding film and Boy A, I think, and Adam in the Noah Baumbach movie and in Girls, and I really loved him, and I loved his work. And I took the work very seriously, threw themselves into the roles, they say, actually really involved certain hardships, one of which, besides going to travel in Portugal and going on retreat in Wales, religious retreat and all this sort of thing. But when it got to do the picture, they really had to be extremely thin, and they had to eat very, very little during the shooting. We had a nutritionist with us, but it was a physical hardship. And Andrew actually went through and completed the spiritual exercises of the Jesuits. This Father James Martin, who helped him through that, which is an extraordinary achievement. Rodriguez is somebody who, in a sense, gives up his faith to gain his faith, and that's the paradox. And when we were getting ready to make the picture, I realized that I was trying to create something that had been with me for many years since I was a teenager and when I first wanted to make movies. And as I said earlier, I'd studied for the priesthood. Didn't make it. Realized early on that it wasn't my calling. It's certainly a vocation, but it wasn't mine. It was the calling of someone I had admired, a priest, a neighborhood priest who taught us a lot. I wanted to be like him, but that's not the reason to be a priest. And I had this other calling, I guess, and it was making movies. And I had an idea to make a picture about a priest, actually, many years ago. A priest who had the calling, but who needed to take that extra step of getting past his ego and his spiritual pride, because it's the parishioners that have to come first, always. And I realized that this was the picture I was making, in a sense, while I was making it, really, while I was shooting it. I touched on this before, Mean Streets and certain other pictures, but, here I was 60 years later dealing with the theme that has been with me since I was so young. So Rodriguez and to a certain extent Garupe have to get through themselves. They have to get past themselves and their pride. They have to give it up. They have to give up their egos. They have to be selfless. They have to lose the self, right? Both of them have the illusion that they'll be able to find their own spiritual paths, but of course, it's never the case.